everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about communication. Now, I know communication in a sense is a very broad topic, but we're going to be narrowing it down to the level of a communication barrier that you experience with your child. One, that is the inability to connect with them. Connect on shared feelings, emotions, problems, anything. A lot of parents have been asking, both moms and dads, how do I communicate better with my child? Why is there a disconnect in the household? Some parents even say that, I can connect with this child, but I can't connect with this one. And that's totally normal because not every child is the same, and therefore your communication with that child is not the same. Now I'm going to introduce a term that might be unfamiliar to some of you, and that's prosocial behavior. Now what prosocial behavior is it's the ability of a child to willingly act in a helpful, positive, or cooperative manner. Now you might be asking, why is this even relevant to communication at all? Prosocial behavior has 4 categories. The first is comforting. So that reflects, your child coming to you or going to another friend or sibling or anything like that and, being willing to comfort them, being willing to console them. The next is cooperating. And, that's their ability to listen and engage in behaviors that you would like them to engage in. The next is sharing, so that's, pretty obvious, and helping, and that's, their ability to want to help. So this type of behavior directly correlates to shared feelings because it is their ability to want to engage in that positive behavior, and sharing feelings is that positive behavior. So this type of behavior does not always come naturally. In some children it does, and other children it's not. And that's okay because every child is different, so therefore your communication and their development of this type of behavior is going to be different. Now, it is a behavior that, that reflects, the results over time because they're going to develop this as they age. Now, it's important to note that, it goes up to a certain degree and then it kind of tapers off after the teenage years because that's when they are seeking that personal independence and that personal power. So this type of behavior might be deflected downwards because of that aspect. But this type of behavior also has been shown to promote things like self-acceptance, peer relationships, and self-esteem, something that I'm always advocating for on this channel. So I think with a lot of parents, they struggle with developing not just this type of behavior, but that communication aspect. And I think there are a lot of things that we can do to help promote this type of behavior and promote that communication, but it's important that we start at a young age. Communication is something that they'll always need. So it's important that we take responsibility in helping reflect that type of behavior, helping promote that positive communication and, that willingness to do all of those things, to cooperate and to help out and to share and to, want to do all of those things. I think that's something that a lot of parents also struggle with. It's a challenge to get them to do it, but it's also a challenge to get them to want to do it. And that's what we ultimately want to see. We want to see them actually engaging in these types of behaviors on their own. So I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that you guys can start doing at home. And these are tips that are actually going to give you results. These are tips that are going to help them increase their communication and increase their willingness to develop prosocial behavior. So the first tip is notice and acknowledge when they engage in prosocial behavior. So I'm just going to write down notice because I think you guys will get the point. So notice. And when you notice these types of behaviors and acknowledge these behaviors, that's telling them, okay, this is what they're seeing. And this is what they're acknowledging. They're acknowledging these behaviors. They're not acknowledging these behaviors. So in their minds, that's saying, okay, these are good. These give me a good response. So I'm going to keep doing these behaviors. And, occasionally I will be doing these behaviors, but because my parent, my caregiver is noticing these behaviors, those behaviors that I might keep engaging in because they're giving me positive results. So saying things like, you were so helpful when you did that. I really appreciate it when you do this. It really helped me out when you did this. And that's kind of giving them a little bit of a motivation because kids don't want to hear. I know in the back of our minds, we must think that in some way kids really, really thrive on us yelling at them, but it's not the case. So giving them that notice and that acknowledgement really helps them internalize their actions and lets them know that these behaviors are being appreciated and that they're actually making a difference. And that's what we ultimately want. We want to keep encouraging those behaviors and accepting those behaviors so that those behaviors keep happening. The second thing is mean it when you say it. So I'm just going to write down mean it. Now this is something that I really reiterate to my clients. It's not always about what you say, it's about how you say it. Now what I mean by that is, the volume at which you're saying whatever you're saying, the tone, your facial expression, even your body position tells a story. So if you're trying to tell your child, what we just described, when you notice their behavior, if you're not actually saying it in a way where you really mean it, it's not benefiting anybody. Because your child will know that you're lying straight through your teeth, and you'll feel kind of guilty because you don't actually mean it when you say it. So mean it when you say it, and notice your tone, notice your volume, notice your expression, and notice your body position, because all of those play a factor in getting the message across. The third tip I have is building responsiveness and empathy into your relationship. So for that, I'm just going to write response and empathy. And I think a great way to describe this one, or a perfect phrase for this one, is you give what you get. And that's pretty self-explanatory. When you give something into a relationship, you're likely to receive it. So if you're giving comfort, you're giving cooperation, you're giving your full attention, and that positive outlook, that's what you'll receive back from them. If you're always screaming and yelling and nagging at them and overall just have a bad attitude, they're going to reflect. And often I think parents don't really pay full attention to this one because they don't want to hear it. No one wants to be told that they're, acting negatively, or, they're not giving their best effort. And often when children act out, it's in some ways, maybe not direct, but it is a type of reflection in the child's behavior. Or the parent's behavior rather. They do have a direct correlation. So it's just something to pay attention to. And, if you really want this for your relationship, if you really want to be able to connect with them on that emotional level, you have to give that effort. You have to want it. You have to be giving them, vulnerability and openness, because that's what they'll give back. On to tip number 4 is use door opener statements. And these are my favorite. So basically, door opener statements are open-ended questions to get them thinking, to get you thinking and talking about your feelings. So saying things like, I see. Oh, look what you did there. Wow. Tell me how you did that. How does this work? It's getting them to think critically. It's getting them to want to engage in that conversation with you. And it's honestly just getting them a little bit more comfortable in the situation. It lets them know that you actually care because you're asking them these questions, and it lets them know that you want to have a conversation. So the last tip is using less you statements and more I statements. So I'm just going to write I, not you. So essentially what I mean by that is when we get into those patterns of thinking, you keep doing this, you are a brat, you're not paying attention to me, you're not listening to me, you always do this. We tend to start our conversations with our children with you, portraying them as the bad guy. And, in a way, maybe they are the bad guy in the situation, but that's not what we need to be telling them, because in their head, they're hearing, okay, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and that's what they're going to be thinking. If you tell someone they're a brat, they're going to likely keep acting like a brat. It's like giving yourself affirmations. If you tell yourself, I'm powerful, I'm brave, I'm smart, I'm all of these things, and you keep telling yourself that, you're eventually going to be that. You're going to become that. That's what affirmations are. So when you're telling your child that they're a brat and they never listen and they always do this and they always do that, it's just going to become a pattern for them. And it's going to be, reflecting in the way that they're acting, in the way that they're speaking, and in that level of communication. So what we want to say are things like, I don't like it when you do this, or I feel frustrated when you do this, or, anything. So any you statement can be turned into an I statement. So you are a brat. I dislike it when you do that. You never listen to me. I'd really appreciate it if you listened to me the first time. So just using that simple switch really makes all the difference, and you'll notice it. So your homework for this week, guys, is to complete at least 3 of these 5 things and incorporate it into your daily routine. And leave in the comments how this reflected in their behavior and how it impacted your guys' communication. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you got some use out of it, as always. Also, just a quick announcement, spots for my one-to-one program have opened up, so if you want to check that out and see if we're a good fit to work together, that link will be below. Also, don't forget to check out my website. My blog will be listed below. So in all of my videos, like always, there is a blog that mentions and talks about the same concept. So if you'd like to read about this and look for more information, I will also be linking that below. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.